Hello everyone, I am Patrick. I am here to tell you how to go about training for CAT. I am a CAT 100 percentiler and I am scored CAT 100 percentile twice. So this is just to guide you with regards to how to go about preparing for CAT exam. The first thing that I want to point out is the myth with regards to CAT. A lot of people believe that CAT is a very difficult exam and only people who are really brilliant can crack it. I believe this is false. I am sure a person who is average can also crack the CAT provided he uses the right method and works hard on it. It's not necessary that a brilliant person should crack it. I have known a lot of people with average ACADs who have been able to crack the CAT examination. They have worked hard and they were ready to learn. I remember a person who actually had come to me with hardly maybe 40-44 percentile in previous attempt of, but he was ready to work hard, learn and manage to improve his percentile to 99. But that was only possible because he was open to learning. So working hard can also ensure that an average person can crack the CAT exam. I have scored 100 percentile and the way I ensure that my students do well is to help them to think differently through a sum. So if you look at the CAT examination, the way it is and the questions which are there in CAT, they are more logical in nature and not pure mathematics. Just compare the questions that come in CAT vis-a-vis the questions that come in the other exams. You will realize that a person who just uses logic is able to do much better with regards to solving the sums than a person who uses purely mathematics. And remember, no matter how much mathematics you learn, every year in CAT you will have new type of sums where it will be a little difficult to apply pure mathematics and understand. You have to understand the sum and try to solve it. And the focus has to be try to get a different method as compared to anyone else. Remember, if you use the same method what everyone is using, how will you be better than them? The only way to better than them is get a better method and solve it in a faster way. So here I will take a few sums to start with to help you understand what I am talking about. The methods, how to solve it and how to use it. So let's start with solving the sums. If you have gone to the sum, you will realize it talks about a man set out at school at 12 noon to walk from Borivali to Kandivali. Let's say Borivali. Let's say this is Kandivali. So person goes from here and he starts at 12 o'clock. They reach at 5 minutes past 4 in somewhere in the middle. This one starts at 2 o'clock and they reach at somewhere. Since if you look at the option, the difference is almost 1 hour. 5 minutes here and there will not make a difference. So I will take it as 4 o'clock. So they reach 4 o'clock out here. The person from Borivali, the person from Kandivali reaches at 4 o'clock out here. He starts at 2 o'clock. They reach their destination at the same time, which means that a person from Kandivali is faster because he takes 2 hours less as compared to person from Borivali who will be slower. Now after meeting, since they take the same time, therefore a Kandivali guy will cover more distance because he is faster. The Kandivali person will cover more distance, but the Borivali person will cover less distance because he is slower. So distance from Borivali to the meeting point will obviously be more than a distance from Kandivali to the meeting point. If that is the case, if I take 4 hours to reach the meeting point from Borivali, I will take less than 4 hours to reach Kandivali from the meeting point, which means I will reach before 8. Looking at the option, I can ignore 8 o'clock. Same if a person from Kandivali, if he takes 2 hours to cover this lesser distance, he will take more than 2 hours to cover this more distance. So he will reach after 6. So you can ignore 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. The only option is 7 o'clock. That will be the answer. So if you look at it, I have not put any formulae. I just try to understand the sum, try to picturize it, and from the option, eliminate the options which are not possible and get the answer. Options are the best way to solve with regards to the CAT exam. Try to use as much as possible options to eliminate the options or in any other way to get the answer. Understand? CAT is a very different exam from all the exams. It tests you on a logical basis. I am not saying this sum cannot be solved by mathematics, but it will take a longer time and there is a high chance that even after trying for a long time you may not get the answer. But if you think about it logically, you should be able to get the answer. Let's take the next sum. Again, this can be solved proper mathematically. But if you just look at this sum, it is 1 numerator, 2 denominator. So denominator is more than numerator, so I know the value is less than 1. So let's go to the option. Root 13. I can say root 13 is between 9 and 16, so it's around 3.5. You can make out that this is more than 1, so this cannot be the answer. Coming to B, 3.5 minus 2 is 1.5. This will give you approximately 0.75. Possible. This is almost 4 plus 3 upon 2, more than 1. So cannot be the answer. Almost 4 minus 3, which is 1 upon 2. So 0.5. So I have two options which are less than 1, 0.75 and 0.5. So go back to the question and check. I realize it's 1 upon 2 plus something. 1 upon 2 is half, but denominator is more than 2. That means the answer has to be less than half. If the answer has to be less than half, I go back and I realize only D option is possible. Remember, 15 is slightly less than 4. So the answer will be slightly less than 0.5. So automatically we get the answer as D. Again, what I did, I approximately found out the value of I, looked at the options, eliminate a couple of options, shortlisted 2 options, went back and checked for a little accurate value, and again I could eliminate one of the options to get the answer. So didn't go about solving it mathematically, try to approximate it and try to get the answer. Another sum? Not difficult if you solve it. But if you look at, there are variables out here, P, Q, R equal to 1. So can I assume values? For example, if P, Q, R is 1, what is the simplest value can I assume? Can I assume P equal to Q equal to R equal to 1? Yes, that is the simplest value I can assume to be right. And I put in the equation. If I put P equal to Q equal to R equal to 1 in the equation, I will get it as 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 equal to 1. The only option, if I put P equal to Q equal to R equal to 1, which gives me 1, is C option. So automatically that becomes the answer. Again, I didn't do anything. I assume some values of P, Q, R, try to substitute the values and try to get the answer from the options. I have not used any mathematical formulas to get the answer, though you can use it to get the answer. But can be got answer with these methods. So from these, let us look at how to go about preparing and planning for the exam and the psychological of attempting questions in the CAT. Now, if you have gone to these sums which I already given to you, suppose this was given to you in the exam, or it was given to you while solving a sheet of paper, how would you solve? Obviously, a normal method would be try to use a formulae. So we use a formulae and try to solve it. The reason we do it is because we are so used to using a formulae that we do that the first thing that we get through. So even if a new method is taught to you, it is really difficult to change unless you are willing to change and you are ready to learn new things. So the first thing that I would suggest for people preparing for CAT is learn new ways of solving things or new ways of doing things. Move away from a traditional way. Because what I've seen in the CAT exam so far is it's very difficult to crack the CAT using traditional methods. Most of the sums, if you use a normal formula, it will take a longer time and then too you may not get the answer. It's very important that you change the way you solve right from the beginning, because it takes time to get used to new methods. Think logically and try to get answers. That's the reason the traditional way of training for CAT only aggravates the problem. What we do, how do we start preparing for CAT? We pick up a book, we mug up the formulas, then we attempt the sums. The sums are also based on the formulae. So we become good and better at using formulas in the sums. So we become better at formulas, and because we are so good at formulae, we tend to apply them in every question that comes along. But unfortunately, it backfires later on. So at a later period, when we try using or avoid using formulae, it becomes a little difficult. I'm not saying formulas are not important. You need to understand formulae. But what's important is when you try to attempt sums, look at also non-traditional ways of solving sums. Try to use options, try to use logical methods right from the beginning of your training for CAT. Don't wait for 2 months, 3 months before the exam saying that I will start using shortcut methods just before the exam. It makes sense to learn much before that and learn from the beginning. Understand that? It's a habit that you have formed from the school days. So changing it takes a lot of practice and patience. And normally give an example of driving a cycle. When you start learning to ride a cycle, what happens? You fall down. Slowly you start trying and trying. And when you try and try, you slowly learn. Initially you are slow. But as in when you learn more and more, you then become faster and faster because you become comfortable with it. So is the case with any new type of learning. When you try to learn a new method, initially you may not be able to use the method properly. But as in when you try those methods again and again, you may be a slower bit in the start. But then when you further practice, I'm sure you can be really fast with using the methods. And that can help you to crack the CAT any day, any time. So change in method has to come from the beginning of one's preparation for CAT, and not in the end saying that 1 month before I'll look at how to crack the CAT. Doesn't happen that way. You need to focus from the beginning, because a person will normally do what he is normally used to. And this is only possible if you're open to change and ready to put in hard work. I've seen a lot of good people who attempt CAT, they're unwilling to change their methods. They want to do what they're used to. And then they find it difficult to improve their scores. But I have known a lot of people also who are willing to learn new methods, new ways, put in the hard work, and they end up cracking the CAT. People from non-maths background, not being able to crack exams, scoring a 99.9 percentile. It's possible only if you are open to change, because CAT is a little different examination and has to be approached differently. Thank you, and all the best for your exam.